area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Is this me?
It is you.
Oh, hey, Sam. This is Fernando from Mexico. And I just wanted to say how I'm like very grateful for what all of you guys do.
Thank you.
You guys do great stuff over there. And well, like a year ago, I was a libertarian, and you guys helped me like get out of that. But actually, something that helped me like really leave libertarianism and actually liberalism in general was actually going out and reading Atlas Shrugged and Ayn Rand. So if there's any libertarian hearing, go out and read that book, guys.
Well, Fernando,
like,
how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think generally I would say that if you're 18, you should probably wait until you're like 22, because you need to sort of get out of like that age. 18 can be a dangerous age to read it.
A lot of guys get hooked on Ayn Rand at about that age.
Yes. Now you obviously, you're maturing at a more rapid rate than most. Perhaps that's because you're not in America, which I think tends to arrest the development of men on some level. But good for you, yeah. And we're gonna in a week or two, we're gonna have another libertarian debate on the program, and it should be interesting.
Yeah. I actually was calling about something else, if that's okay.
Please.
It's more about theory rather than actual policy. But like, tell me if I stray like off topic or something. But it's about how like conservatives have this narrative about loss of meaning thanks to postmodernism. I haven't heard your thoughts about that.
Tell me more about what the libertarian is it basically a rehash of the moral relativism, or what? I'm not sure what the libertarian argument is.
Yeah, no, it's not libertarian. It's more like conservative in general. But like people like obviously not Donald Trump, but like people like Jordan Peterson, but also now like people like Steve Bannon and stuff are talking about like this, like moral relativism, but more generally how like younger generations have lost meaning, and how we really are like on top of just like moral stuff, we don't have like a way to lead our lives, and like that's one of like their main points for returning to things such as like Christianity and like conservatism.
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, look, this is a classic reactionary argument, right? That it is hip to return to the order that existed back when coincidentally we were in power, or we had completely unquestioned or unchallenged power. There is no doubt that there is a transition period when large segments of society are emancipated, whether it's women, half the size,
like it's really dangerous, right? Because like it starts with just like, oh, there's a loss of meaning, right? But then like the argument extends itself to in the case of Jordan Peterson, it's basically so your meaning should be your identity. It should be the fact that you are a white man.
Right. Well, but the point is that there's not a loss of meaning. There is a change in meaning, right? And so it is no longer that you are destined as a white male in the society, that it is your responsibility and your destiny to lead, as opposed to any other demographic profile. And you are of an elite. It's basically like saying to It used to be like saying to, I don't know, some part of the Air Force, like where they go to the Rangers, right? And they say, the Rangers are an elite force within the context of the Army, and but then you can get even more elite from the Rangers, and so white males were like like the Rangers. And you have the ability to become the real elite. Nobody else does. The average grunt doesn't. And the meaning is lost because it's like, you know what? You're no longer the only people who can hold these positions. And you have to, white men have to redefine their role in society and accept it. And there's definitely a transition. I mean, I've talked about this is where this whole zero-sum game stuff comes from on some level, which is it's inevitable. It is inevitable that the meaning of being a white male in a society that no longer systemically suppresses women and no longer systemically suppresses people of color. And I'm not saying that we're there yet, but we are moving in that direction, is going to change. And that adjusting to that is, traumatic on some level for society. And maybe the left is not as success because the left's project is to emancipate. There is not the energy to address, the new role for the white males, but that to me is a secondary project. Sometimes you have to just grow. This is something that parents need to do with their kids and basically tell them, like, look, there's certain...
I agree with that, but like I still think that there is to a different degree and like in a different context, but they are tapping into something that is actually happening, right? Which there is an actual loss of meaning in like for younger generations, in the sense that the things that gave us meaning previously, like now we acknowledge that no longer work. Things such as religion or such as honestly capitalism in general. Like we are coming to realize that doesn't work, and that leaves a kind of like existential space there. Obviously, the answer is not to return to sort of like the white identity as a result, but I do think that there is a loss of meaning as a result.
I agree.
Don't you think?
I agree, of course.
And they frame it as if this is postmodernism doing this, because if they said their real problem is with like modernism, everyone would look at them as if they're insane.
Well, that's the point. There was a loss of meaning when all of a sudden, like we're no longer an agrarian society.
You go back to like the 1930s, and they're talking about how we're entering the machine age, and it's all going to be this like terrible dystopia.
This happens all the time, and I mean it is literally almost the definition of time. Like when the written word develops, and the storytellers, the oral storyteller is left a little bit like, where's my new meaning here? Like this happens all the time. It's just that, and I would imagine in each of those eras, there are forces that are saying this is unique. We have hit a unique. It's like postmodern. This is such a unique time that this has never happened before. And they jump in to fill the vacuum with basically a return to the status quo, but dress it up as if it is something radical. I mean, that's the definition of reactionary. But I appreciate the call.
And like, so just like lastly, sorry for taking up so much time. Postmodernism then is like more of a symptom rather than a cause of this loss of meaning. Like postmodernism is pointing out that like the previous things that gave us meaning before no longer work, and we need to find something new. So conservatives are actually being counterproductive. Like they are talking about a real problem, but they're being counterproductive when they say we should return to those things. Those things no longer work. They're unstable.
Their move is to mythologize the past into a way that seems like it's more appetizing to everybody, and then say we can just regain that, when really we never really had the type of especially when you think about it like inclusivity. The past was never what they say it is. But it's easier to frame something as we're going to just regain what we had than what the left tries to do, is just we're going to achieve something that hasn't been achieved before.
Appreciate the call, Fernando. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.